The beginning of 2024 had some amazing games come out. You had Power World, which was an absolutely massive success. You had Dragon's Dogma 2, which was also received extremely well, and a bunch of other huge titles throughout the year. But Helldivers 2 came out in February of that year, and it was one of the biggest launches of a game I've seen in my lifetime, and topped only in player count that year on Steam by Power World. So counting not just player numbers, but how much of a force Helldivers was when it dropped, you have a game that certainly broke records for the developers at Arrowhead Studio. They had millions of people trying to hop on when it released. So much so that there was a huge amount of people who couldn't connect, me being one of them, because their servers were for so much less people than they anticipated. I remember being in queue and just being so salty I couldn't find a game, but honestly not really hating it. Like, it was so refreshing to see a game suffering from so much success. And so I want to cover the insane story of all of this, because it's a story of success and also of failure. And this roller coaster ride of a video game is so cool to watch unfold in real time. You guys know what to do if you like the channel, and you know what to do if you like the video. And with all that aside, let's dig in. So we got our first taste of Helldivers in March of 2015 as a PlayStation game, and then later on in that year in December with a PC release. It was a top-down horde shooter, similar to what it is today, just with the top-down perspective. And I never played the first one, but I imagine a lot of the core idea is basically the same. Kill bad guys and save the world. No cliches here, just important business, you know? Helldivers 2 was officially announced in May of 2023, so gamers had quite a while to get hyped about it. It was definitely not something I noticed or saw any major advertising for, so I honestly had no clue about Helldivers 2. I'm sure people were excited who paid attention, but even core fans probably couldn't have expected just how massive this launch would be. Launching with 458,000 concurrent players on Steam, it was an absolute force on their servers. I saw some clips online and thought I'd love to join in on spreading democracy through the cosmos. But when logging in, I kept getting met with the can't connect to server screen. And yeah, that was really frustrating. This lasted for about a week while they desperately tried to increase their server capacities. And this almost turned me off entirely and made me want to uninstall. But it just looked so fun, so I just had to wait patiently and wait for there to be room for me and the boys to play. It was definitely worth the wait. I mean, the devs really knocked it out of the park. You would never have guessed the first game was a top-down shooter. This was a fully fleshed out third-person game that just looked absolutely stunning. And it ran really well when you're actually in the game. And they had tons of cool missions to do and guns to shoot. And my absolute favorite part about Helldivers, calling in airstrikes. It brought out the kid in me that just loves to see things go boom. You know what I mean? So besides the problems with the servers at the beginning, the first major problem came about as Sony wanted everyone who played on PC to link their account with the PlayStation Network. And this was obviously a major problem for a lot of people who played on PC, myself included. Not only would they have to go and make a PSN if they didn't have one, but you wouldn't have been able to play if you didn't. And that just felt like this big company was taking control over my experience for a game I paid $40 for. And another awful thing about this account linking thing was that PlayStation Network didn't cover as many countries as Steam does. And a lot of people wouldn't be able to play, which I think is just really messed up. And then there was the security concerns. Like, we all know Sony just loves to get hacked on. And so that was like a big red line for a lot of people. And this all blew up in Sony's face so bad that they ended up just not doing it after facing a massive wave of negative reviews. But the damage was pretty significant, and people still attribute this to their slowdown in momentum, because up until this point, the honeymoon phase had worn off, but there was still a lot of people playing. And after this, they saw a huge drop in player numbers. And it just goes to show you how out of touch these big corporations are with the wants and needs of players. And I think they shot themselves in the foot with this one and probably lost a ton of money. Good job, Sony. But all hope wasn't lost, because the devs were determined to win back as many... Oh, yeah. Forgot about that one. Let's just try to forget about what happened there. No, I'm just playing. So, things had quieted down in terms of controversy after the PSN thing. And then came along the Escalation of Freedom update, which nerfed a lot of people's favorite guns, including the breaker shotgun and the flamethrower. And this came as a pretty big surprise, because, like, why do guns that are really fun need to be nerfed in a PvE game? Just seems like the devs kind of lost their focus, and they did say they wanted to try to do some meta busting to give other guns a chance in the spotlight. But many players were incredibly upset with this and review bombed the game again. And players made good points about saying, like, this is a PvE game. Why not just make other guns better instead of making our favorite ones worse? Later on, Arrowhead would admit they made a major mistake doing this. And so we've had pretty big controversies already, and the game hadn't even been out for 6 months, and player numbers were steadily declining. And so after all of that nonsense with the Escalation of Freedom update, they basically just kind of wanted to reevaluate their position. I remember seeing an interview one time where they were just saying that they got a little out of focus and they wanted to just kind of get back to making the game fun and making it as fun as it could be. And so things were pretty quiet for a little while, and then the game just started to kind of build on what it already had built, which was a good game. And they just wanted to make things fun, and they learned from their mistakes in the past. And during all this time, I'm pretty sure the CEO, Johan, stepped down and became like the like creative director or something like that during all this time. And so they brought in a whole new CEO. I think they just wanted to restructure things and just get back on focus, which was making the game really fun again. I mean, you could just tell that they had a lot of regret about the decisions that were made on the update, and then also the PSN thing. I mean, that was probably a top-down thing. Like, they probably didn't have much say in that. So that one they get a pass on, but the Escalation of Freedom update, that was definitely something that they messed up themselves, and you could tell there was definitely some regret there, because they, like I said, I saw an interview and they just mentioned that they wanted to just get back to the way things were and just focus on making a fun game, which I think they've done and they are doing a good job at. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. But yeah, so those two things were like the really major things at the beginning that I think had such a significant impact on the game and the flow of just how things came out afterwards and how everybody thought of the game and all that. But in between there as well, there was some other little issues. I guess some people were not being able to play because they had like there was like a CPU issue that they wanted to try to enforce, but it ended up not really working that well. And then there was another incident, or set of incidents, I guess, where people were team killing people with the Malevelon Creek cape. And I didn't really understand that. I was kind of stepped back at this point from the game, and I was just reading about all this. Every now and then it would pop up on my timeline or whatever, and I would just see something about this cape thing, and it was just like, I don't know, it was really funny to kind of see and just not really be a player of the game currently and just kind of see this all unfolding. And I guess people were just killing people with this cape on because they got it and then weren't actually there fighting it or something. I have no idea. But it was just like this whole debacle. And yeah, like I said, with the CPU thing. So there was a couple other little minor things that were in there, but nothing major like it was at the beginning. And I think they just kind of put their heads down and got to work and just wanted to earn back the players' trust. They were still dropping new seasons and they were adding new content, and I don't think they were nerfing anything like crazy before. And I think they just kind of learned from their mistakes in the past, and they just wanted to keep making it better and bring the players back that had left from the previous controversies. And I think they did a good job. They just got to work. They just made sure they didn't, you know, enter another controversy and do anything kind of crazy. And I think they, you know, slowly kept the players that were there and brought back people that might have left. So it seemed like things kind of quieted down. Like, I didn't really see much about the game other than maybe when they did a new update or anything like that. I would kind of read about that. But yeah, things seemed quiet, and it seemed like they were just trying to retain the people they had and bring back new people. So that brings us to now, which they just released a new update called the Heart of Democracy, where the faction, the Illuminate, has come to Super Earth, and we are the last stand. We have to try to defend the homeworld. And I think it was really cool to see that, because I kind of, in the back of my mind, always knew that that might be a thing that they would do down the line. But when I saw that that was going to be in the update, I was like, this is actually really cool. So I'm going to try to hop back in. And it seemed to have worked, because a lot of people are coming back to try this one. I think they just had a new high for player count. And I think it's like almost at 190,000 or something is what I saw, I think. I could be wrong about that number, but it seems like a lot of people were stoked to come back and, you know, defend Super Earth and see what all the new update was about. So I thought that was really cool, and I think it's a great high note to end on this video, because it's just been such a roller coaster of a ride for this game. Like, it launched with such massive success, and then had a lot of, you know, hiccups in between, some road bumps, and then now it's kind of seeing this new increase of players, and it's just really nice. I don't know. It's really cool to see this game flourishing again. Let me know in the comments if you guys are coming back to help save Super Earth. So, I hope you guys got something out of this video, whether it was education, entertainment, laughter, whatever it is. I really appreciate you guys sticking around till the end here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.